What happens when the very heart of Russia's military power in Crimea is no longer untouchable? When the airfields that Moscow swore were impregnable suddenly turn into smoking ruins, littered with wrecked helicopters, shattered radars, and flaming wreckage? That is exactly what just unfolded. Explosions rocked Russian air bases in Crimea, ripping through their defenses and destroying some of their most prized aircraft. Evidence is now pouring in, and the images are nothing short of devastating. This strike was not just another attack, it was a statement. Ukraine has shown that nowhere in occupied territory is safe anymore. Confirmation has now emerged about the catastrophic attack on the Guardis military airfield in Crimea. Satellite images tell the story. Photos dated August 22nd show multiple Russian helicopters neatly stationed, including the attack helicopter Mi-24s and Mi-8s. But by August 30th, the picture had completely changed. Several helicopters had vanished from the scene, not because they were relocated, but because they had been obliterated. The Mi-24, a fearsome attack helicopter that Russia has relied upon heavily, was confirmed destroyed, and the surrounding aircraft bore the brunt of the attack as well. Why? Because when a drone or missile detonates on the ground near a lineup of helicopters, the shrapnel rips through everything in its path. Helicopters with their aluminum and light alloys are incredibly vulnerable. Even if the cockpit canopy is reinforced, the rest of the body is not. Just a few shards traveling at extreme velocity are enough to turn a machine worth millions into twisted metal. This is not just speculation, it has happened before. Earlier this year, shells landed near helicopters in Russia's Kursk region. Even without direct hits, the shrapnel tore through them so badly they were rendered unusable. Now, the same devastation is being repeated in Crimea. The evidence shows canopy glass perforated, fuselages ripped apart, and equipment shattered beyond repair. Russia has once again been reminded that even their aircraft parked far from the front lines are no longer safe, but Guardis was only the beginning. The strikes did not stop there. As the smoke still rose from destroyed helicopters, new explosions thundered across Crimea. On the same day, reports of powerful detonations came in from Sevastopol and Simferopol. These were not random blasts. Witnesses described seeing Russian S-300 and S-400 air defense systems firing their massive interceptor missiles into the skies. For years, the Kremlin had paraded these systems as invincible shields against any incoming attack, but the very fact they were firing in panic across Crimea revealed something critical. Ukraine's strikes were getting through. Videos captured the moment Russian launchers lit up the night sky, launching Flamingo missiles in desperation. Observers noted at least 3 separate launchers firing in sequence. The targets were believed to be drones and missiles streaking toward Crimea, possibly aimed at military sites and naval facilities. The locals described the noise as deafening, a clear sign that the battles in the skies above Crimea are escalating. Yet even with those defenses firing, Ukrainian missiles still broke through. One of the most significant hits was on an FSB facility in Arman, Crimea. This strike is reported to have been carried out with a Neptune missile, the same missile that famously sank the Moskva, Russia's Black Sea flagship. The Neptune flew past Russian air defenses and smashed directly into its target. Satellite images confirm heavy damage at the site. This was not just a military blow, but a symbolic one. Ukraine demonstrated that even Russia's most sophisticated defenses cannot stop them from reaching high-value targets. But perhaps the most shocking blow came not just against defenses or helicopters, but against the very eyes and ears of the Russian military. Ukraine's highly skilled drone units, particularly the renowned Primari sabotage teams, have been systematically hunting down Russian radar installations across Crimea. These aren't ordinary antennas. They include massive surveillance systems, critical for detecting incoming threats and guiding air defenses. New images reveal antennas smashed, towers twisted, and entire radar sites reduced to wreckage. Whether small tactical antennas or massive long-range dishes, Ukraine has been hitting them all. This is a calculated move. Without radar coverage, Russia's air defenses are effectively blind. The S-300ES and S-400S cannot intercept what they cannot see. The Primary unit has earned a fearsome reputation for conducting long-range drone operations deep behind enemy lines. Their strategy is clear: dismantle Russia's surveillance step by step until the skies above Crimea are open hunting grounds for Ukrainian strikes. By destroying radars and surveillance equipment, they are paving the way for more devastating missile attacks. And while Crimea was burning, Ukraine opened another front. Not in the skies, but against the very foundation of Russia's war machine: oil. Russia's oil industry is the financial lifeline of its war effort. Every missile, every tank, every aircraft depends on the money flowing from oil sales. Ukraine knows this, and they are hitting refineries relentlessly. Just yesterday, another strike set fire to the Krasnodar refinery, one that had already been burning from earlier attacks. Ukraine was determined to finish the job. Since the war began, nearly 100 strikes have been carried out on Russian oil refineries. The effect has been staggering. Roughly 21% of Russia's refining capacity has been eliminated. The bulk of the damage has been concentrated in the European part of Russia, the area closest to Ukraine. But this is only the beginning. With the development of longer range missiles like the Flamingo, with a reported range of 3,000 kilometers, Ukraine will soon be capable of striking deep into the Russian heartland. Refineries that Moscow once considered untouchable may soon be within reach. If that happens, Russia will be forced to rely on refineries in the Far East, or to import refined fuel from allies like Belarus and Kazakhstan. Every strike on a refinery weakens Russia's military machine. Fuel shortages ripple through the armed forces, making it harder to keep aircraft in the skies and tanks on the move. Ukraine is not just targeting bases, they are striking at the financial arteries that keep the war alive. The Ukrainian onslaught has not been limited to Crimea and Krasnodar. Satellite imagery confirms an attack on the Porotinovka airfield in Voronezh Oblast. A hangar was destroyed, and evidence suggests that this site was being used to store Shahed drones, the Iranian-made weapons that Russia has unleashed in waves against Ukrainian cities. Destroying drone stockpiles before they can be launched is a massive strategic victory. Every drone eliminated on the ground is one less that can terrorize Ukrainian civilians. The Voronezh strike shows how far Ukraine is willing to reach, extending the battlefield deep into Russian territory. Meanwhile, reports of wildfires near Gelendzhik, not far from Putin's infamous palace, have raised questions. Whether sparked by Ukrainian attacks or accidental, the timing is suspicious. Russia scrambled resources to contain the fires, desperate to protect the multi-billion-dollar compound that became a symbol of corruption after being exposed by opposition leader Alexei Navalny. As Ukraine escalates its strikes, Europe is shifting its strategy. Germany, once cautious, is now ramping up direct military support rather than merely preparing peacekeeping forces for a hypothetical ceasefire. European leaders are increasingly convinced that Russia's aggression may soon spread beyond Ukraine, and they are preparing accordingly. Poland is set to increase defense spending to record-breaking levels, reaching nearly 5% of GDP in the coming years, more than even the United States. Finland is expanding its army to prepare for potential conflict directly on its border, and the European Union is investing in new weapons factories, ensuring that Ukraine's ammunition supplies keep flowing. The message is clear. Europe has realized that supporting Ukraine now is far cheaper than fighting Russia later on their own soil. Moscow, however, is not backing down. Kremlin officials continue to insist that their special military operation will continue until their goals are achieved. Their demands remain unchanged: Ukraine's demilitarization, surrender of territory, and acceptance of Russian control. But Ukraine has made it equally clear it will not surrender. The strikes on airfields, radars, and refineries send one unmistakable signal: Kiev is prepared to fight for years, if necessary. The longer the war drags on, the heavier the losses for Russia, not just on the battlefield, but in its economy and society. The strikes on Crimea have shattered the myth of Russian invincibility. Helicopters that once terrorized the front lines are now burned out husks. Radars that once scanned the skies lie in ruins. Oil facilities that funded the war are in flames, and Ukraine is only getting started. The war has entered a new phase, one where no corner of occupied Crimea or even mainland Russia can be considered safe. The question is no longer whether Ukraine can strike deep into Russian territory. The question is, how far will they go next?